Okay, it's warning time. There will be some references to sex in this episode. It's a sexy one. Now, anything that's discussed by me in the sex arena isn't being mocked. I'm just using it to illustrate the story. Okay? It's not too graphic, but there are references to sex. Thanks. A policeman, a vicar, a lawyer, a judge, a doctor, a banker, a CEO, and a politician. Why would they all be in the same room when a police raid happened? Welcome to Extraordinary Stories Podcast. Hey, how are you? Are you well? Are you good? I am. So thank you for the big, strong reaction that I got to Sunday's episode, the story of Sandro and the hostage situation. I know it's not a pretty story. I know it's not easy. It wasn't easy to look at really, but anyway, thank you if you got in touch with your comments. Alrighty, let's get to the shout outs for this episode. There's quite a few, so we'll get through those. Shout out number 1 goes to Dara Burke. Now, it's Dara's birthday today. He is 29 years old. Happy birthday, Dara. The shout out came from your lovely girlfriend, Helen Skilter Hamill. So, hello to you, Dara. Happy birthday. Thanks for getting in touch, Helen, and good luck and love to you both, you gorgeous beings. Second shout out goes to, now I don't know how to say this surname, but Phoebe Puckzatet. I really hope that is right. This was on Twitter. Phoebe got in touch to say that she had binged the podcast over 7 days. Which, I mean, it's lovely that you did that, Phoebe, but I kind of feel like you must have been so fucking sick of my voice by the end of 7 days. You must have been wanting to tear your hair out. Okay, a few more to just get through nice and quickly. So, a shout out to Pandora Good Love, Husky Galore. Hi to both of you. Mandy McDonald. Now, you got in touch to suggest an episode about killer nurses for the future. That sounds like that could be a winner. I might want to get into that. Okay, a couple more. I've got shout out to Queen Dripper and Big Vibration. How are you both? I hope you're okay. And I'd like to say hello to Gunnar, who you got in touch through Twitter and you were rocking my world with some of the information you were giving me about a story that I'm looking at. And finally, to Jason Abercrombie, or Knackers Abercrombie, as we agreed to call you. So Jason's been a long time listener to the podcast, so hey. And that's the shout outs for this week. Alright, let's get on with the story. This is the story of Cynthia Payne. Okay, let's go. Okay, where are we? What's going on? Well, we're in the UK and we're in a place called Bognor Regis. Not a very pretty name, I have to say, Bognor Regis. It's a seaside town in the south of England. Apparently it is lovely, given it's got a truly stinking name. Apparently it is really nice. So it's 1932. And about to come into the world, there is going to be born a baby who will grow up to be one of the most famous and talked about women in Britain, and her name is Cynthia Payne. Cynthia was born to mother Betty and father Hamilton, and she had one sister, I believe. Now, the family, they didn't see the dad Hamilton a lot, and that's because he had a job where he was at sea most of the time. He worked on cruise ships, and he would manage different departments within the cruise ships. I think it was something to do with like the beauty and the leisure spa part of ships. So that was what he did. So early life for Cynthia was really just her sister, and her mum. Now, tragedy struck in 1943 when Cynthia was 11, that would make her 11. Her mother died of throat cancer. So with the dad away, out of the picture, the sisters were brought up by a series of housekeepers. The housekeepers who speak of their time looking after these two girls, they say it was just awful. They said that these girls were unruly, they were cheeky, they were badly behaved, and really, if we're really honest about it, most of that was actually aimed at Cynthia. I don't think her sister was quite as bad, but Cynthia, she was quite the troublesome little girl. She swore and she shouted from a young age. People who went to school with her will remember that her favourite topic was sex. Even at a really young age, she had a very strong awareness of sex, and she liked to talk about it. So it's all the sex talk and the refusal to adhere to being properly behaved. What it all resulted in was Cynthia being expelled from school for being a bad influence. I used to get report cards home from school that would be like, Barry is a good student, but he does like to talk an awful lot. I mean, fucking surprise, surprise. He does like to talk an awful lot, and he will encourage others to join in, which is basically saying he's the one that starts it all, and he just gets everybody else into trouble because he won't shut up. Nah, well, what are you going to do? So, not really very sure what's she going to do with her life. Cynthia's dad decides, okay, he's going to enrol her in a hairdressing course in the south of London. But see, for Cynthia, this was just really boring. She doesn't want to be a hairdresser. She's got no interest in that. So what does a person like Cynthia do when she's bored? Well, she acts out. She causes havoc. At one point, she tells her dad, I'm pregnant. She's not pregnant. At one point, she phones him and she says, I've drunk lots of weed killer. She hadn't drunk lots of weed killer. She was just a kind of... Yeah, she just had a really, like, big spirit. She just was really, like, always doing crazy things, always doing sort of mental things in her youth. A family friend actually suggested that Cynthia should go and see a psychiatrist to cure her compulsive swearing. I just think that's brilliant. Imagine being sent to a psychiatrist because you can't stop swearing. I mean, they thought it was an actual condition. I don't think it was. I don't think it was a condition with Cynthia. I think it was just that she actually just liked to swear an awful lot. Apparently, I shove it up your arse was her favourite phrase to say to people. So if anyone wronged her, she'd say, I shove it up your arse. Okay, nice. What this led to was Cynthia was actually disowned by her father. Now, I'm not judging, but that's quite a strong reaction. But then, you know, he was maybe just at the absolute end of his tether with her. So the next few years of Cynthia's life, they're very eventful, and they look a little bit like this. At age 17, she began an affair with a married man. Cynthia moves to another part of London, and the married man, he follows her. And before too long, Cynthia is pregnant at age 20. She gives birth to a son called Dominic. Quite quickly after this, she falls pregnant again, but it's a different father this time. And she has a second son, and she puts that baby up for adoption. Because that father wasn't interested, Cynthia already had her first son, Dominic, and she couldn't really be a single mother with 2 kids. It just wasn't manageable for her. It wasn't manageable at all, and so she had to give away one of the sons. She then went into a relationship where she settled, in a sense, I suppose, for 5 years with one man, and she lived with him during that time. Right, here's the thing. This guy didn't believe in contraception. He didn't believe in the pill, and he didn't believe in condoms. He clearly had never heard the ads campaign that I grew up with, which was that little jingle that I always remember getting at school, and it was on TV all the time, something about "Don't be silly, put it on your welly," or something. Was it? No, I think it might have been a bit more advanced than that. That was maybe the general idea. Something about, it was definitely Silly and Willy. Something silly on your welly. Anyway, if anybody has any clue what I'm talking about out there, please get in touch. Silly on your, put one on your welly. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting lost in that. Because of Mr. I don't believe in contraception, Cynthia ends up having 3 illegal abortions. And it's at this point she leaves him. So she takes away her young son, Dominic, and she moves away. And now it's her late 20s. And Cynthia is about to start the plans which will make her a household name one day. Right, so she's working as a waitress in a cafe in London. And she gets to kind of know, in the way that you do in these jobs, you get to know the regular customers that are coming in all the time. She gets talking to one of the younger girls who's always in. She's maybe 19, 20. And the girl tells Cynthia that she is a prostitute, but that because she lives with her parents, her business is really dependent on the man that she's sleeping with having a house to go to. I mean, obviously that's going to be tricky if this man is trying to shag a prostitute behind his wife's back. He's not necessarily going to have somewhere that they can go, or be able to afford a hotel or anything. So Cynthia has a great idea. She says to the young girl, right, here's what we'll do. I'll rent you my flat in the evenings, and for a charge you can use my house, and you can just pay me a little for the use of it, but it's all yours, and you can then invite these men to this house. Now the girl is delighted, and she offers to pay Cynthia £3 a week. I don't quite know in the 60s what that would translate to now, but it must have been good, because apparently Cynthia was quite happy with this sum of money. Now Cynthia doesn't stop here. Oh no. Cynthia turns entrepreneur, and she thinks, well, if one girl is willing to pay me, where else could I go with this? Cynthia builds up some cash between her money that she's receiving from the prostitute, renting the flat, and her waitressing job. And what she does with the money is she starts to rent more properties and sublet them out to more girls. She does this until she's got 4 flats in the London area with a different prostitute in each, and they're all paying Cynthia on a weekly basis. So she quits waitressing and she becomes the maid in the scenario. She's got these 4 properties. She goes daily, she cleans the flats, she answers telephone calls, she books appointments, And even sometimes Cynthia is there to greet the gentlemen callers as they arrive at the house. So this goes on for 2 years, and Cynthia is able to save a good bit of money. And it's at this point, she's the age of 34, Cynthia Payne opens her first brothel. So she buys a small house in the Streatham area of London, and she brings the girls who were in the flats with her. So they would arrange now all of their appointments to happen in Cynthia's house. This next thing that I read, this is creepy. Cynthia's son by this point is 16 years old. He becomes a client in this situation. Cynthia's son, for his 16th birthday, is given by his mother the gift of losing his virginity to one of the prostitutes. I mean, some people get driving lessons, some get cars, some get a party. Not Cynthia's son, he got sex. So now we're a couple of years down the line, and it's going actually so well for Cynthia. She's bringing in such an amazing amount of money. She can afford to leave the small house and move to a much, much bigger house in the Streatham area. Along the way, Cynthia had met a man called Mitch Smith. And Mitch, and this is in Cynthia's words, was her sex slave. And Mitch had helped Cynthia pay for the bigger house. So what do we think this house might look like? This new, bigger, shinier brothel. I mean, it is, after all, a den of iniquity. I'm kidding. But it's a brothel, so what do you picture? Red lights, big leather sofas, mattresses on the floor, porn playing on every screen. Well, quite the opposite. Cynthia furnished the house to look exactly like a suburban house of the time might look like. There were net curtains, a floral sofa, she had like light carpets, beautiful vases, china, a real like homely feel. Like she decorated it in a really nice way. Now people who had gone to the brothel noted that they actually really liked coming because it didn't feel sleazy. It didn't feel like they were coming in to a brothel. It felt like they were coming in to a home. So in this property, Cynthia had 9 prostitutes, and they weren't short of business. There was trade day and night in that house. But being the businesswoman that she was, Cynthia had decided she wanted a little more focus on who was actually attending her home. After all, she was the hostess. She was the face of the operation. So everybody who came through those doors would, before they even got to go upstairs and spend their time with one of the girls, they would need to come in and sit down and have a gin and tonic with Cynthia. So she knew who all these people were, and she was beginning to think, are we attracting the kind of people that I want to be coming through this? Or can I possibly have a bit more control over this? And yes, she did, and this is how she did it. Cynthia started giving out something called the Cynthia Payne luncheon vouchers. And how it worked was this. A client who wanted to come to Cynthia's house, they would pay her and she would then give them a voucher. And the voucher would be for sex, or for a one-on-one with this particular prostitute, or a threesome with these 2 girls, or, you know, it might be your voucher, you could redeem it if you wanted to be tied up in a particular fabric and whipped, or if you wanted, anything really that was your thing. Cynthia had a voucher for it. She could offer you what that was. You hand over the money, she gives you the voucher, and that was a way for her to control who was coming in and who was not coming in to her house, basically, because you couldn't really just rock up with loads of money in your back pocket and be like, I'm here and I want to shag 3 girls. Cynthia would be like, nah, have you got a voucher? No, because I never gave you a voucher. Hop it. She didn't want riffraff, as she called it. She banned any males under the age of 40. I mean, sad times if you were a male under 40 living in Streatham at that time who was looking for a good time. Cynthia had banned you. Now, she said that this is because men under their 40s like to boast about their sexual prowess. But men over 40, they know they're good at it. They know what they're doing. They don't need to boast. She didn't want these young ones coming round cluttering up the place. But Cynthia had a bigger plan with this, and that was to actually target a very specific type of man who would come and experience this. And who were they? Well, we're talking vicars, lawyers, policemen, politicians, lords, doctors, MPs, the aristocracy, people working in finance, people who owned banks, people who worked in pharmaceuticals, business leaders. As Cynthia said, no riffraff. And this is where she really succeeded. She only took men with money. And this again, this next thing, it's a lesson in where she took that to another level, is that Cynthia offered what she termed personal services for each individual client. She allowed them to explore their deepest fantasies in a safe environment, her house. Now that could be, you might want to come to Cynthia's house, get dressed up in an outfit and have a chain put around your neck and be walked around the house like a dog. That was fine with Cynthia. She was like, fine, we can offer that. You might want to come to the house and dress as a woman and sit for 3 hours in women's clothing and then go and have sex upstairs with a woman, with Cynthia. Fine. This is where she's killing it. This is where she's doing really well, because she's actually going, no fantasy that you bring me, no anything that you want to do is too outrageous for my house. And she was hosting big parties and allowing these really rich and successful men to all celebrate in that with each other. So she's sitting pretty, right? It's all going well. And that is until a Saturday afternoon, like any other, at Cynthia's house. The guests have arrived. They're dressed in whatever they want, whatever their particular fetish may involve. And it's descending into a full-on sex party. A party like, well, no one else knows how to throw at this time in Streatham except for Cynthia. And there is a knock at the door. The party goes quiet, and when Cynthia goes to the front door, standing there are 3 police officers. They've come to raid the brothel and arrest Cynthia. Inside, this is what they find. 53 men. Some are in the living room, some are upstairs. Mainly, they are queuing up the hallway to go upstairs to the women. And they're holding on to their vouchers. What do you think I was going to say there? holding on to there were 13 prostitutes inside the house. When they searched the property, they described that Cynthia's home contained every sexual toy and piece of apparatus that you could find. Her house was now named the biggest disorderly house in Britain. So she's taken to prison and she awaits a trial. She's charged with 9 counts of controlling prostitutes, and the case goes to court. During the trial, the prostitutes themselves, they take the stand and they say, actually, Cynthia was great to work for. Like, there was an actual waiting list of prostitutes who wanted to come and work in Cynthia's house because she treated them really well. She cared about their welfare. She cared about each of the guests that came through the door. You know, she wasn't this nasty brothel owner who was being, you prostitute will just put up with it. She always made sure that they were okay, and she made sure that the customers were getting what they wanted. Anyway, the whole trial, of course, it's messy. It's so messy. Because when the raid happened, there were actual police officers and lawyers caught up in that. And now here's Cynthia standing in a courtroom charged with controlling prostitutes when, people from these police officers' own teams were actually caught up in it. Anyway, Cynthia is found guilty and she's sentenced to 18 months in Holloway Prison in London. Now, after an appeal that gets reduced, she actually only serves 6 months in the end. I must tell you this because it really, really made me laugh. When Cynthia was freed from prison after her 6 months, one of her very rich clients, he sent a Rolls Royce to collect her from the prison grounds. And she's driven to a swanky London hotel for a champagne reception. I mean, I'm not sure how many people get that when they come out of prison, but here's Cynthia. She's like, I'm going off in my Rolls Royce and I'm going to drink champagne in a hotel. The photo that I'm going to put up on social media that you'll see, and it's her sticking the fingers up, that's Cynthia leaving prison in the Rolls Royce. Now, does Cynthia learn her lesson? Nah, of course she doesn't. She goes right back to it. The parties start again. The main difference now really is that her face and her home, or the House of Sin, as it's been cleverly called, is now plastered all over the news. But here is where I think Cynthia really got it right. This is what I think she'd done so well. She had made herself a hero amongst the rich and the powerful in London. She was so well loved by them all. And why? Because she gave them exactly what they wanted. She gave them what they needed sexually. Every person who came to that house was welcomed and their sexual needs were met with no judgment. So, 6 years later, she's not slowing down. And there is a second raid on the house. And she's charged again with controlling prostitutes. And this time, all charges get dropped in court. Now, it's around this second time the raid happens that actually business, it starts to kind of die down a little bit. The second court case really kind of kills it off. And really, the reason for it is actually that men who were in really powerful positions, like within government, were being talked about daily in the newspapers because stories were beginning to come out that, this one particular judge was a very well-respected judge and had been for years, but the story was that he actually really liked to wear fishnet tights and high heels when he came to Cynthia's house. And so once that's out there, that makes that person's job incredibly vulnerable. There was a policeman who liked to dress up as a bunny and have naked girls sit on him. And so that compromises his integrity as a policeman. I don't really think it actually does, But of course you can see how that has an effect in the press. So it's really damaging. So slowly the brothel kind of dwindles down. It starts to quieten down. So what of Cynthia? Well, actually she goes into a career of politics. She campaigns to have the laws around prostitution changed and have it legalised in the UK. She starts a political party called, get this, she calls it the Pain and Pleasure Party. But her political career, it doesn't go very well, and she quits. But doesn't mean she slows down. She wrote books, she gave interviews, she performed one-woman shows where she talked about the parties. There were 2 films made about Cynthia's life. I was watching a chat show with the actress Julie Walters on it, the British actress. And Julie Walters plays Cynthia in one of the films that's been made about her life. And she says that actually it was a nightmare on set because Cynthia would just out of nowhere appear on set, and the whole crew and Julie Walters would have to try and hide from Cynthia because she was a pain in the arse when she got there, because basically she would be like going, no, that's not how that looked, no, I wouldn't have said it like that, that wasn't right. So she's like trying to really heavily influence these things that are being made about her. She, in her later life, she auctioned off all of her clothing and the sex equipment from her home. She said in a 2014 interview, in my 30s I was doing it. In my 40s I was organising it. And now I'm in my 70s, all I can do is talk about it. Cynthia Payne died in 2015, but will forever be remembered as Britain's most famous madam. Okay, so ends the story of Cynthia Payne. Ah, yes. Cynthia. When I was looking at this, I was worried for a little moment because I thought, I hope this isn't going to throw up lots of, difficult thoughts around prostitution and legalisation. And, I've got some very clear opinions on what I think about it, but I just didn't really want to go too far into that in this story because it is just a short one. But really the reason I picked it is because I love someone who's lived their life and done crazy things, and I think Cynthia's life is pretty extraordinary. Okay, as always, thank you for listening. If you want to vote for Extraordinary Stories Podcast at the British Podcast Awards in the Listener's Choice category, that would be great. The link's on the Facebook group. You can find it if you just search British Podcast Awards. I think I've put it on Twitter, and yeah, I'll try and add it to... Oh no, I have. I've added it to Instagram already. I've done that, so a vote would be lovely. Join the Facebook group. Come, join the chat. It's growing all the time. The chat is brilliant over there. Also, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. There's nice conversations happening there if you want to get me. Okay, I think that's all from me. Until the weekend, okay? Goodbye.
It didn't affect me really one way or the other. I would imagine from the look on his face, let's get it on, let's do it, let's get it over. Let's get it on, let's do it, let's get it over.